Good evening. My name is Steve Gazayas. I'm an architectural hardware consultant.
All right. Do you use Facebook, MSN, Twitter, email, or any of these or any other kinds of social networks?
Yes, I do.
Um,
I specifically use a little bit of Skype, texting, and emailing.
all right. How many times a day and for how long do you communicate with friends or family through these social networks?
I would say probably at least a couple of dozen times through texting and emailing. And time frame, I would say probably about half hour, 45 minutes a day.
All right. Does talking to family and friends through social networks affect your relationship with them?
Yeah, it keeps me in touch in some situations that we wouldn't communicate as often, I think. And I like the visual with certain aspects of it, like Skype, whereas other aspects of with texting and that, you're not getting the same response, or at least the same feeling as with something with an audio and a visual combined. So I personally prefer something with both, like Skype, versus texting or emailing.
All right. How many times a day and for how long do you communicate with family or friends through face-to-face interaction?
Well, when you get home, you're communicating with your family pretty well until you go to bed. But during myself being in sales, I probably communicate the majority of my day face to face. My entire day is about building relationships with my clients. So it's pretty well all face to face all day for me,
All
with the
right.
exception of communicating to others, other clients, and via text and email in between those face-to-face conversations.
All right. Would you say that you pay more attention when talking to family and friends face to face rather than internet and social networks?
Absolutely. I think when you're on the internet or a social network, you tend to be distracted by other things around you, and you feel that you could probably multitask a lot more, especially if it's not a video type social media that you're using. Then the person's not really seeing that you're multitasking, and one feels that they can do other things while they're speaking to somebody, and they're not judged because of the lack of video there, as if they're not giving their full attention to that person on the other side.
All right. And do you prefer to interact with others through virtual interaction or face to face interaction, and why?
I personally prefer face-to-face interaction. I don't mind, as I said earlier, the Skype version, or I mean, I'm using Skype as an example, but when there's an audio and visual together, that would be probably my second choice. I really don't like the email texting interaction, simply because the text can be misconstrued as far as the intention. There isn't the feeling, there isn't the emotion there, and sometimes certain text can come across with being insensitive when it's not meant to be. So myself, I would personally prefer an audible communication or audio-visual if I could, would be the best alternative for me.
All right. Perfect. And which mode of communication do you find the easiest?
Personally, the easiest I find a telephone. It's the emotions are there, and it's the response time is immediate, and I mean, again, otherwise, if you combine it with the video, even better. But something where you can immediately bounce back and hear one's emotions and feelings within what they're trying to convey.
Do you prefer telephone over face to face though?
I would say no. Out of all the social medias, I mean, from the technology side of things, I would say telephone or Skype versus emailing or texting. But face to face, I would always say is probably the best. But I mean, it's not always possible. So as a second alternative, I would prefer audio-visual contact. As a third, I would say just the audio, and then down the line from that would be emailing and texting.
All right. And would you prefer to take a university course online or in class, and why?
I would say in class again, when anyone does anything online, it's my personal opinion is that you do tend to think that you can multitask and take a break whenever you want, and you're not as attentive, and it's not as easy to bounce ideas and amongst your peers there. So I like to get input from people around me as far as what their thoughts are on what we're discussing in class. So personally, I prefer to do it in class versus online.
And what would you do if these or virtual interactions and social networks were taken away? Would you be able to adapt quite easily, or would it be difficult?
Well, seeing that, well, I mean, obviously it's going to be a step backwards, but seeing that my personal preference is face to face, I would just have to work harder and communicate in the ways that are available at that time, whether it's visiting somebody or over the phone. But I think we would adapt to the loss of it. I don't think it's as bad as doing without hydro.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do get quite comfortable with advances such as this. So yeah, I guess it would be a loss, definitely.
All right. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.